Welcome to Conversations with OLA. My name is Minerva Perez. I am the Executive Director of OLA of Eastern Long Island. OLA stands for Organización Latinoamericana. And we are here today with a very special guest, Maria del Mar Piedrabuena. And she's going to let you know more about what she's doing as co-publisher and editor of Tu Prensa Local. First, I would like to sort of welcome you and explain how this wonderful show came to be. Of course, to thank LTV and its amazing staff. Conversations with OLA came about because we, as an East End nonprofit, have been very blessed and fortunate to get to work with amazing individuals and organizations here in the East End. And we thought, how are we have to share more about who we're working with and why they're doing the wonderful work that they're doing. We can't just be greedy and keep all these relationships to ourselves. We have to share them. And so how this came to be is I am co-hosting this show that we created along with Sandra Dunn, our associate director. And how we split it up is that Sandra will do the Spanish language interviews and I do the English language interviews, and sometimes we shake it up from there. That's what we're doing with the show. We appreciate you watching and sharing if you can. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to Maria del Mar Piedrabuena, who is the co-publisher and editor of Tu Prensa Local. Maria, tell us a little bit about your connection to the East End of Long Island and how this publication came about.
Okay, so thank you for inviting me to be here. This is awesome. Ola is doing great work on the East End. We've known each other for a long time, so this is actually a great opportunity to reconnect after the pandemic and everything that was going on. So yes, as far as the connection with the East End, I've lived here for 20 plus years, ever since I came from my home country. I, like many immigrants, first came to the city and for, I don't know, some reason gravitated towards the East End and found this beautiful, amazing place to live. And I fell in love here. I raised my family here. And in the process, I, developed a great love for our community out here. So I'm a journalist by training. I, went locally to Stony Brook University, and I worked in media, local media, for a long time. What I saw in the process of being a journalist was that there was a huge community, Spanish-speaking community out here on the eastern of Long Island, specifically Latino community. I'm going to say communities because we are so diverse, of course. In what I saw was that there wasn't, enough information in Spanish for them, or almost anything, really. So my partner, Juliana Holguin, and I saw that, we needed to do something about it. And we put together, she's also a journalist, and we put together our expertise, and we, had this vision of filling this gap and providing information in Spanish for our local communities, Latino communities, which are very much present out here, but they're very underrepresented and underserved. And, 2 years later, here we are.
2 years later, and this is a daily publication. It's not on paper, it's online, yes. But it is produced in a daily kind of way. So it's very fresh and moment to moment. So what is it like running a daily publication?
Well, it has its challenges for sure. It is a big commitment, and there's a work of love. So we every day wake up and see what's relevant for our community. We have those relationships in the community already, where people also look to give us stories and things like that. And we try to put out there the information that people need, not only for our community, sometimes having the right information, but from the right sources. Sources are verified and and everything else, it's a matter of survival sometimes. And so we make sure that, for example, if we're going to put out information out there, that we have, contacted whoever we need to contact, verify that information, and really put something trustworthy for the community. I have to say something also very important, because we were born during a time which was not of our making, but it really was, like the saying says, at the right time. And we were born in February of 2020. So right when the global pandemic was starting. We didn't do it on purpose. We, all through 2009, we were creating our brand and putting together our vision. But then when we launched, and boom, the global pandemic hit. So, but this also, told us that what we were doing was very important, because right off the bat, we started seeing really, the need and the gap that we were feeling. Because at the beginning, you remember, there was so much confusion about what was going on in any language. And suddenly, we were there, and we were trying to cover everything from the state, from the county, from everywhere. And people were calling us every day, asking us for information, what's going on, I'm feeling this way, where can I go? And in trying to solve those little things every day, told us how important it was, to be there for the people. So that's one thing. Also, as the pandemic has progressed, we've seen this big rise in fake rumors and fake news, and especially through social media, in regards to the vaccine, in regards to the virus itself, in regards to local resources. And for us, it has been especially important to put out there information about what is true and what people can access to locally, etc. So that's why I say that sometimes, having that information in their own language, and that is culturally relevant as well, is life-saving, is a matter of survival.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to thank you both, because your fact-checking, you don't have a fact-checking team. You don't have a group in a side office looking up all that's coming through social media, this flood of information, to then kind of grapple through it and pull out the pieces that are true and the ones that are definitely not. It's almost like, we do a different type of thing, but it's almost like triage. You can't get everything, but when you're seeing something that's really bad, you've got to do something about it and try to get the right information. But you don't even have a team that's doing that. That's you two. And so, anyone that is watching this right now, if there's a way that you want to be able to support Tu Prensa Local, or look into that. I mean, I know that you have on your electronic version of this periodical, this daily, that there's a way to have ads, there's a way to support it, there's a way to sponsor it. I think this kind of work that you're doing is critical. And I think it's really, and it is a labor of love, but you do it so correctly. Like, you are not just throwing things out and saying, well, it's better than nothing. You are doing it the right way as a journalist, and you're doing it daily. So I was so happy that you could make the time to be here today. And we have known each other for, my gosh, I think it's maybe 14 years or more. And just getting to see, read your work early on, and then have it evolve into this, which makes all kinds of sense. And then to get to work with you. One other point that I want to put out there is that what's different about what you do as a publisher and editor is this is so necessary and so critical that people don't see you as just a news source. There's other news sources out there. People aren't going to call up and say, my grandma's really sick, I don't know where to take her, I'm afraid about the documentation that she doesn't have, what can I do? That becomes, you are a trusted representative of our community and of what is safe and what is good. And then that's also why we work together a lot, because you'll let me know about different needs, and then our team will then maybe take some of these things and keep running with them. But that kind of trust that you've developed is critical.
Yes, and I to me, that is very important. I value that trust, that trust that they put in us, because we do understand that our work is not just, just straight up reporting a story that it's out there, that's it. That's not what we do, because that's not the nature of the work we do either, or what the community needs. We report every day, like you said, on our news site, tuprensa.local.com. And the reason we did it online also is because our community is on their phones very much. They're not picking up printed newspapers anymore as much. So we wanted to be where the community was. But aside from that, we found that people need, sometimes they call us because they're being evicted, or they call us because, like you said, somebody is sick, where do I go? So it's, this is where OLA comes in, for example. We try to make partnerships with organizations that really help the community, that we really trust, and we can refer, you know, whoever calls us or whatever. So there's a component in education as well towards our community. There's a component of connecting them with resources, and not only reporting on stories. And also, I have to say, we also don't report like the mainstream local media with what they do, because they are here, they do a very good job. There's a very rich media landscape out here, English-based media, but they can't cover necessarily all the communities that are here, and that's where we come in.
Yes.
And we try to, you know, put out there the stories that our community cares about too, that maybe they may not be represented in other places. But yes, definitely, you know, the type of partnership that we have with OLA, for example, is an example of how we can really go a step further with our community and try to connect them to the next step, right? So if they have a need, for example, somebody is sick, you know, there is this clinic in East Hampton that can see you, or this, you know, or this organization that can refer you to somewhere they can help you, because maybe that person is undocumented, or doesn't have insurance, maybe they don't have access to transportation. There's a myriad of issues going on underneath that one phone call, or that one you know, story that we reported.
And one of the big pieces, or the big aspects and fallout from the pandemic, was the isolation. And I think it's important to note that way before the pandemic, our community suffered and still suffers great isolation. So that idea that you could be in almost a little bubble where you are working, and I don't want to represent Latino members of our community as only you know, put upon, or the most vulnerable, or, you know, not absolute amazing contributors and entrepreneurs and very wealthy, capable, and making things happen out here, running businesses. But those folks that have not been able to have the kind of connectivity or connection before the driver's license law came to be with Green Light New York, and even after that, you know, it is expensive to own a car out here. And what does it take to get where you need to go? Public transportation on the East End is very poor. It's not what it needs to be. We're at least 20 years behind the ball, at least. And so that's something that OLA continues to advocate for better public transportation. But and getting to and from doctor's appointments, getting to and from your child's school activities, because of course parents are very connected to what's happening at their child's school, but they can't always get there. And so now with the pandemic opening up some of these channels in relation to telehealth, in relation to having teleconferences with parents, so they can maybe be on their WhatsApp, FaceTime, you know, with their phone, and be able to communicate with the teacher or with a guidance counselor. These are opportunities that we want to make sure that we're still exploring and expanding out, because the idea of Latino parent engagement is one that's so critical, and the various ways that we can kind of solve these challenges around isolation are also very important, because when you've got someone isolated, then they don't know what they might have access to. They don't know about other organizations on the East End. So we collaborate also with many organizations out here, like Rural Migrant Ministries, that does a lot of work with migrant workers, like The Retreat, like a bunch of other organizations that do help our community and help the full community. And I do want to also mention that OLA's work, even though it is Latino focused, the work that we, from the very beginning, the focus is on equity, on health, on safety, on protection, and making sure that all of those access points exist for all members of our community, regardless of their background, of their immigration status, and that by doing that, that is making this entire community stronger. And even more specifically, our free medical transportation is bringing people to and from medical appointments that don't have another way to get there, and those folks are not always Latino. We are working with students who are not Latino to make sure that they have better access to college or vocational studies. We are making sure that our schools locally have access to Chromebooks and Wi-Fi and that kind of connectivity for times that we've gone through.
Yeah, and precisely talking about connectivity, that's what we try to do as well, because this is where it's critical that, you know, having news and information in Spanish for people to know, and that is told in a way where, you know, that they're really gonna understand and connect with that resource. And because there's plenty of resources sometimes out here, but people don't know about it, or they don't know how to access those, or they're afraid of because of X, Y, Z. And that's where we try to come in. We try to, every time we put out a report, you know, it's not only this is what exists out there. You know, this is how you can get to that, and this is who you can contact, and this is the process. And, you know, we really try to put everything very obvious, so people can really, you know, try to connect with those resources, like you said. And also, I was going to say that those partnerships are critical, I think, because we have to understand that a community is a network of people, and every time that you you know, just take a step, that step reverberates throughout, you know, that community. So that's what we're doing here today.
Yes, yes.
Precisely, right? So we're putting out there that we exist, and this is important in the work that we do. So yes.
Well, I wanted to change gears a little bit because we have some minutes left. And what I'd like to do is I want to talk about the future. And these conversations, it's important to point out to everyone, are not scripted. This is just us having a conversation. And so this is not a wild card at you, but I want you to really take a moment and kind of center yourself in all that you've been feeling. We're almost at the end of the year now. This is, you know, even though you might be watching this, who knows, 2 years from now, but we're almost at the end of the year, 2021. We're in December. From everything that you've seen over the last couple of years, the beauty, the pain, the challenge, the upset, the frustration, as a member of this community, as a professional, as a journalist, what could you dream for a future? What is a future that you want to see in relation to the work that you do and what you've seen? But what is a future for the East End that you feel that we should be moving toward? Dream a little bit out loud.
Well, a future where, you know, for example, housing and transportation is much more available to people. A future where we can grow, Tu Prensa Local can grow, and more people know of us, and we can grow our stuff, and we can grow the way we serve our communities. A future where, you know, we can find more safe spaces for our communities and the community at large, right? Because, like I said, we're all interconnected. Where those partnerships really thrive, where there's places for us to do projects together. And I don't know, I think there's so much good and so much to explore here on the East End. Something I was going to mention before, and this is really important, Suffolk County has around 20% Latinos, according to the latest census data. Out here on the East End, sometimes it's even more, depending on the town, 25%, 24%, depending on each town. And we are, you know, growing as a community in population-wise, especially we're diversifying population-wise. So we have to, I want to see, you know, more representation in town boards and school boards. I want to see that more out there, because right now it feels that at best we're underrepresented, underserved, words were ignored. And I really want that to change. I really want, and I want to, you know, do my part in changing that as well. So yeah, there's many dreams, that's for sure.
I always like to hear the dreams. I like to hear the dreams because if we don't have them in the front of our head, they won't happen.
Yes.
And it's important that we do, and that we say them out loud, and that we write them down, and that we speak them out loud and commit them to things like this. It is committed. It is committed. Your dreams are out there. Yes. You know, I'll share maybe a couple that I'm seeing from my perspective is that since I joined OLA in 2016, February, as pretty much the first full-time paid executive director, it's been nonstop crisis. It's been nonstop crisis. And even though OLA was born out of aspects of injustice that were happening, out here: wage theft, worker safety, education, like equal access to public education. It had progressed to like crazy level crisis, and so much of what I enjoy about the work that I get to do with OLA is certainly meeting crisis needs, is certainly developing relationships with people in different levels of power, decision-making capacity, for them to just have a different perspective. Because oftentimes it's not, people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And if you're bringing more information to the table and that you're seeing that, wow, from that conversation, these other things are born, then that's exciting and that's very, very positive, and that it means a lot. But what I'd like to see is that we can kind of get through some of these crises to the real beauty, because what we have here is this such a vibrant community, peaceful community. We've got so many non-Latino supporters and family members that are just, they're excited to just know more about all the other folks in the community. We've started something called Conversation Cafe, and that we do that through a tiny little grant that we have through Southampton Town, where Sandra is running these little workshops where Latinos who speak a certain level of English and non-Latinos that speak a certain level of Spanish, we bring them together with some food, and Sandra helps to kind of curate the conversation a little bit and allow folks to be able to not just speak the language, but get to know each other. And that little thing that you feel like is so small is huge, because what we really see behind all of the crisis is that people really just want to be connected with each other. They want to know about each other. There's always going to be fear. There's going to be pockets of, I don't know that, it looks weird, scares me, go away. But quite honestly, there's a lot more of the other stuff. There's a lot more of the curiosity, the care, the love, the fact that our kids are going to school with each other and they're friends. Our 24 East End districts are about 40 to 45%, and sometimes more, but on average, yes, Latino student body. Yes. And those Latino students are not all students that just came here yesterday. They're students that have been here for, their families have been here for generations and generations, and some are more recent arrivals to our area. But that's 40 to 50% Latino student body. Some districts, 66% or more. Yeah. What we need to look at is that the health of our young people, it needs to be embraced as the future of our community, the future of our nation, the future of this globe, is how we care for our children and how we demonstrate how we are to each other. I want to point out that Tu Prensa Local was one of a couple of local periodicals that was willing to take on a very difficult, I'm not going to go into the details, but a difficult story because there was power and money behind one aspect of this story, and you took it very carefully, but you weren't afraid of it. And what I want to put out there is that, you know, we need as a community, and my dream is that we get to a certain point where, yeah, we can figure some things out through the court, we can figure some things out with lawyers, but do we have to always, you know? Can there be another way that we engage with each other, that we kind of have a level and a bar that we set that's a bit higher out here in this special place? And I think how we work with our youth, how we work with our most vulnerable, how we engage, how we open our minds to knowing the why isn't that person at the table? Every table I'm at where people are making decisions, I want to say out loud, who's not at this table? Who's not here? Let's acknowledge it. And let's not just point a finger and say, well, bad on them, they should be here. Shame on them, they should be here. Yeah. Why aren't they here? Who's not here? And how do we increase that connectivity? How do we increase that engagement? And put it on us to do that, those who have the capacity to do more and to get the word out. So I have a vision, or a dream anyway, for that, and to work with you and other organizations and our amazing team to make that happen. And with the last kind of few minutes that we have, I want to let you take it away, and I might do like a face so that you know, okay, we're gonna, and then maybe I'll just jump in and say thank you. But take it away. Tell me some more.
No, I just wanted to mention, you know, just what you were saying is that since we launched, we've grown tremendously and exponentially. That's how we became the number one Spanish news site in Suffolk County. So we're really happy about that. But and because we saw how people responded. I mean, people are engaging with us. When you give people a chance, they will really, reward you back. They're engaging. They're sharing their stories. They comment on all that we publish, about anything and everything. And that's amazing. That's amazing because, you know, that tells you so much. That in also having a Spanish news site, it enriches a whole community, because then the whole community gets, you know, more multi-ethnic, more everything. And I believe that you know, it's a necessity, or a need, I should say, that to have this resource out there. And I also want people to know that they can support us, you know, and if they reach out to us at info@tuprensa.local.com. They can send us an email with you know, any tips, or if they want to support us, you know, any other way, we will.
Or buy ads, buy banner ads, things
yes,
like that.
Yes, exactly, yes. Because we do, you know, we, like you said, it's a labor of love, but also we need to eat. So
Yes. And you need to grow.
And
I
we
mean,
need to grow
you can't
as
do
well.
it with two people.
We have a lot of projects, you know, that are coming down the road, and those projects, you know, we really want to fund those because they're very exciting and very cool. So I would encourage anyone out there who wants to support us to please do.
And internships potentially too?
Yes, actually that's one of the things that we're thinking for 2022. There's so much potential and talent out here.
Yes, there is.
And that's one of the things we want to connect with local high schools maybe, and, you know, local universities or community colleges, and see what can we do from there.
Oh yeah, definitely. The future is bright, and I can tell you, and your commitment to that bright future is what makes your publication so special, and it's really wonderful. And Juliana, I'd love to maybe have her on in the future as well. She's an East Hampton resident, and get to talk with her as well about her background and her connection to the East End and what she does with Tu Prensa. But I just want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank everyone for watching, and to keep a lookout for what happens with Tu Prensa Local. Always connect up with Ola whenever you like, 631-899-3441. And we look forward to hearing from everyone. And thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you so much. And our phone number is 631-213-1023. And you can write to us at info@tuprensalocal.com, and check us out at www.tuprensalocal.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is fun.